Whoa. Whoa. It's the illusion reporting live from somewhere on spaceship Earth. It is it's the evening before Thanksgiving, which is for many people is a difficult time to get sober. And for a lot of people, it's just a difficult time in general, dude. So we're going to spend an hour in the solution so that we can just share the solution. And if you're new to getting sober, dude, welcome to your first Thanksgiving. If you know what I mean, man. Yeah. So who do we got in the Flatto, dude? Freeze Bird 799. Klitch, Olich, and Clemeny PJ. And yeah, we're here, dude. So I guess we'll just do what we do, open up a little serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Amen. All right. We are in 83. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cincinnati, Ohio, the heart of it all, dude. Love that. Heart of it all. Bam. Yeah, so it's sober Thanksgiving. For a lot of people, the holidays are a tough time to be sober, but holidays are also a great time to get sober. And many people do get sober after the last big flame out during the holidays, right? The final getting pickled at Thanksgiving, staying a little long, not hanging out at the kids' table long enough, dude. And so yeah, you'll have a lot of people getting sober after Thanksgiving for sure, dude, because Thanksgiving is one of those kind of holidays. And Christmas a little bit, dude. That's usually like the final chaos of family dynamics. And then New Year's is always I'm a New Year's baby. I got sober on the first of the year, 2010, dude. January 1st, 2010. 010110, dude. And so yeah, it's if you got sober last year during the holidays, well, welcome to this holidays, dude. So with that said, I think I think I'll shift this one to a little bit of more of a gratitude angle with the sobriety is for me personally. I'm super grateful to be sober this Thanksgiving. And we're doing a super low key one. We're just having steak and pumpkin pie. We went down to Costco today, and the pumpkin pie line was like, dude, it was so crazy. But Al wanted some pumpkin pie, so we got him a pumpkin pie, dude. We should have made one, but we've been too busy lately to do that, kind of. So we went in and we stood in line. Here, dude. Here is Owl's very first Thanksgiving, dude. There, look at that dude right there. Look at that guy. Dude. That is the talk about, look at that dude. Straight up first Thanksgiving. Little guy, dude. Look at him. He's ready to rock and roll, dude. What a picture, dude. He's all there, isn't he? Yeah, I think that's I think these holidays change in sobriety, man, is it's an interesting thing. I think about my world of how I operate. So I wasn't one to get I'm not a big sentimentalist about holidays. So I never got well, even when in early sobriety, I never got into the whole, oh my God, it's the holidays. I wasn't, I'm not a holiday drinker. I'm a lifetime drinker, dude. The holidays were almost a time to not drink. You know what I mean? Just go kind of mind my own business and not, it's like New Year's Eve, I always call rookies night out, dude. It's like I was always one of those, like, just stay home. And Thanksgiving is it's an interesting it's one of the better holidays. I'll give it that, because it is about kind of the gathering of people versus the giving of stuff. It is about being around people. And so I think that's why people struggle who are newly sober or getting sober is if this first Thanksgiving can be lonely. But I think that's why I recommend, getting sober with people and going to meetings and doing that kind of stuff so that you have a community of sober people to hang out with, especially your first sober turkey is, and I will just say out there is pretty much almost all AA communities have sort of a Thanksgiving sort of marathon thing going on, because there are a lot of people. You listen, man, when most people who are getting sober have burned down their life, man. They might be estranged from their family, their friends, their loved ones, and so they're trying to get sober, and so here you are, is you don't have anyone to hang out with because nobody wants to really hang out with you. But you know what the beautiful thing with having a sober community is we can all go hang out together, dude, and laugh about our situation. So I think that's another thing to promote on through these holiday seasons is if you're new to getting sober, think that's one of the upsides with being a member of the 12-step community is for those who want to be around people. I'm a hermit by my very nature, so it's not something I really need to be, but it is also something that I do understand that is important for me to be there for other people, right? And yeah, so this would be I had a couple drinks tonight, but I still support the cause. Right on, Flatto, dude. There's no rules here, dude. The only one's a requirement, a desire to stop drinking, dude. You don't got to be sober to hang out. That's not what we're promoting the solution, which is the lack of boundaries, dude, in that sense. You know what I mean by lack of boundaries is because we're all about the boundaries is you're allowed to hang out and do your thing, dude. That is the key to the whole deal, because we can't promote it. We got to give it away. We got to live it, dude. We have to live in this sobriety. And so with that said, I don't really have any big subject or thought I'm bringing to the table. So maybe I'll just open it up to you in this in this night before Thanksgiving, beginning of the holiday season. Sober things. So whatever you would like to ask, or if you have something you're curious about and you want to push the snowball down the hill and start this off, that would be great. Because really, for me, I'm just grateful that I'm sober again, dude. I'm sober for another Thanksgiving, dude. I think this is my 15th, 16th sober Thanksgiving, something like that. And like I said, it doesn't need to be a production. It's thanksgiving, right? Giving thanks to the situation. And man, I can honestly be that yeah, I go back to my first sober Thanksgiving, and I'm trying to think. I don't even recall it, but I do know that I've have, now my Thanksgivings involve family, and that wasn't where this whole journey of sobriety started out. Like, this journey of sobriety started out as a solo dysfunctional human being trying to become functional. And so life expands, and now I'm going to go not eat turkey and have steaks and pumpkin pie tomorrow with my son, my wife, and my mom. And we're going to hang out for a little bit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, get it all done, and move on, dude. All right, here we go. How did you not get loaded right after the fire during the time you and the hologram split for a while? Well, that's at 83. That's a good question. I'll say this is that hit, gosh, that was 8 years ago now, right? Something like that. 7, 8 years ago. I was halfway in through my sobriety, dude. And I think the reason is once you get far enough down the path of sobriety, it's not going to do anything for you. Like I have a big understanding that, like, and when that all happened, like when the community burned down and the house burned down, I didn't think about drinking or drugging or getting stoned. Like, it was game on, dude. You know what I mean? Is I had bigger fish to fry, dude, right? So it's not something that even came up. And I think that's part of, like, the why we in the beginning we learn to be of service, right? Like, we show up, we do the next indicated action. We get commitments, we have responsibilities to train ourselves for when the shit really does hit the fan, right? Like, I took my first phase of sobriety pretty seriously for a pretty unserious dude. Like, I had commitments, I showed up on time, I did all the stuff that you do in the beginning, right? And you face those early obstacles. You face the early obstacles of what life looks like in early sobriety, and you get through some training wheel obstacles, right? Like, in the beginning, it's just training wheels, and then life gets moving, dude. Like it's sort of the inversion of the same reason I didn't get loaded when I had a son. I wanted to be there for it, dude. And I can say that as much as the fire and all that stuff around that time was super hectic, like, my mission was to be present for it. And ultimately, like, yeah, it was, let's not forget, I got through the herniated disc by then of my back. So I already knew that I could overcome like these insurmountable obstacles. Like you got to remember, like a year before the fire, I had through physical therapy and listening to God communicate through other people, healed my 8 millimeter herniated disc in my back, and healed and got over what to me at that time was an insurmountable physical obstacle, right? Like I think that yeah, as much as well, I'll get into the fire in a little bit in a minute, but as much as the back was a super painful body experience. Like I was laid up in pain for a long time. And then I got out of that pain by sheerly doing the next indicated action and by putting my trust into another human being who had the expertise to help me. And I did what was prescribed to me, just as I did what I did to get sober. So you know what I mean? Like when I my back got healed, I just did the same thing I did to get sober to my back, right? And that was to me like one of the big obstacles in my life was getting out of physical pain, being able to surf and skate again and be a normally functioning human being. Like that was super, really super. And so when it came to the fire, I basically understood that none of the stuff was mine. When the community burned down, my house burned down, and my marriage burned down at the time, I was super aware that like none of that stuff was mine to covet or hang on to, and God had given it to me. And so I had to let it go. And like by letting it go, I was able to focus on the most important thing in my life, which was guiding my son through that experience, right? Like to be of service, and even being of service to my wife at the time and my daughter at the time, right? Like who's my wife still to this day, but like at that time, my priority wasn't me. My priority was the people around me, because like the key to staying sober and being sober and getting sober is that it can't be about us. Like that's why like the 12th step is having practiced. What is the 12th step? Having practiced these principles in all of my affairs, having had a spiritual awakening and practice these principles all of my affair, my primary purpose was to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. Like once you get to the 12th step and you understand that your primary purpose isn't you, your primary purpose is to practice these principles in all your affairs and to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety, right? So your job moving forward, if you've truly done the 12 steps, is everything in your life isn't about you. It's about being of service to those people around you and being there for them, not them there for you, right? And so when the fire happened and I lost everything and I stood there, I had to truly do what is prescribed in the steps, right? I was powerless and my life was unmanageable, right? Because I'm not like the drugs and the alcohol at that stage of my life weren't, the obsession was gone. So what am I powerless over? I'm powerless over everything, dude, not just drugs and alcohol. I'm powerless over everything. I have no power to stop the Santa Ana winds. I had no power to make sure Edison kept their lines safe. I had no power over the whims of a major catastrophe. Like I had no power to stop what happened, right? I was powerless over it, dude. And I was unmanageable, meaning that like I don't have any ability to manage any of this, right? Like I'm not in charge of the fire department, of the planes dropping fire retardant on my house. Like all that stuff happened, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm not managing any of it, dude. Right. So then you go to step two, dude. Came to believe the power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. So there I was, dude, in an insane situation, dude. Like the house had burned down. My wife said we needed to get separated. My whole community had burned down. All my friends' houses had burned down. I was just sitting there with my silver pickup truck, Terra Cruiser 4, and my son, who was 4 at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm in an insane situation. So God grant me the serenity to accept the things that what we're cannot change. Step two, came to believe the power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. So I had to like resort to a power greater than myself, which I call God, which is my personal relationship with Jesus Christ. But you got to find it for yourself. And so then I did step three, dude. Turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. So I remember distinctly standing at that moment in my life, the crossroads of my life was like 10 days after the fire. Everything's gone. Everything's gone. And it's just me and my boy. And I'm holding his little hand. And I go, okay, God, you're running the show. What do we do? I don't know, God. I have no clue. My whole community's burned down. I'm solo in this operation. I have no interest in drinking. Like, you have to understand that, like, to go back to the original question there, at a certain point early in the first year or so, or year and a half of my sobriety, the obsession got removed. At some point, I didn't have an interest. My mind wasn't obsessing that because I'll always tell you is alcohol was never my problem. I was my problem. Alcohol was my solution. It just stopped working. So when I got sober and I began to do the work on myself and understand that, oh, this isn't a problem with alcohol. This is a spiritual problem. This is a mental dilemma. This is a physical allergy. Once I began to understand that, the obsession removed, because I realized that the alcohol doesn't work anymore. I don't know if I could sit here, if the alcohol still works. I don't know, dude. Maybe if it could shut off this thing, but that was the thing. That's why I got sober because it just didn't work anymore. I was out of answers. So I'm standing at the precipice of my life. The alcohol is a non-issue. I can tell you, I didn't think about drinking or drugging through that entire process until like February of 2019. And I'll tell you this story. So I turned my will, my life over to care of God, and God was like, call your sober friend. I called my sober friend, Matt, rest in peace. Matt died the other year. I called my friend, Matt, sober Matt. I go, Matt, I need help, dude. He's like, what? I go, I don't know what to do. The wife's said she's out. And he's like, come over, dude. Just come over to my house right now. Come over and eat. Bring Al with you, dude. We'll hang out. And we sat with him and his wife and his daughter, and he's like, let me help you, dude. And I go, okay, dude. He's like, I'll help you find a place, dude. So Matt got on the phone and made a bunch of phone calls. He found me a little trailer, and the people whose trailer it was were in an island of 4 houses that didn't burn down in the fire. And they were like going to live in their guest trailer, their guest house, basically. It was a rad little setup. And they were like, Matt told them what was going on. And they're like, you know what? We're getting insurance to rent a house. So we'll rent the place to him, dude, and his son, dude. And God worked his miracles, dude. And it's because I at that point in my life, I knew that I don't have any answers to any of this stuff, and only God really does. And that's why, like, this whole thing with, there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. And again, that has to be for you to figure out what that means. This isn't about me promoting Christianity or Jesus or anything like that. You've got to go on your own spiritual journey and find out what God is to you. And what I can tell you is, in the beginning, God was one thing. God is completely a different thing to me now, 16 years, almost 16 years later, dude. So it changes and it develops and it gets deeper and broader. But I can tell you that if I wanted to tell you the moment that I truly accepted Jesus Christ as my personal savior, it was at that moment. It was at that moment where I had a relationship with God, but I truly gave my life to God in that experience. That was when I was like, all right, God, you run the show, dude. 100%. No, I didn't ask God for help. I didn't ask God for answers. I didn't ask God to put it back together. I just said, thank you for my experience up to this point, God. You run the show. And God's like, you're going to let me run the show? And I go, yeah, you run the show. And God's like, are you ready to let me run the show? And I go, God, yeah, I'm ready to let you run the show. He's like, and then God's like, call your friend. And I called my friend. But I will tell you that sometime in February, and I always tell this a profound story because I learned something. I remember sitting with Owl in our new little trailer we were renting, and it was pouring rain, dude. It was like raining in February. It was just downpouring. And, we were living in this island of unburnt houses in a disaster zone. And I remember it was raining and the roof was leaking. Like there was a roof leaking and there was rain coming in through the roof into a bucket. And I'm sitting there at this table with Al, and I'm looking at him eating his macaronis with Tabasco sauce and spacey. And he's just happy little dude. And I remember sitting there and I was like looking at him and looking at the drops. And I just was like, I just want to get loaded right now. I want to do a bunch of blow right now. And I remember sitting, I remember I can see Al's face right now. He's just eating his macaronis and cheese, not worried about a thing, dude. And all I'm thinking about is like, I just want to go score drugs. And I sat there and I had this epiphany about that my son that I love more than anything wasn't enough to keep me sober, that it was going to have to be something greater than him. And again, it was a moment where I turned myself back over to God. I go, God, you got to get me through tonight, man. You got to keep me just right here, dude. Just get me through tonight. And that's how we live in sobriety, one day at a time, dude. See, I wasn't worried about the next day. all I had to do was just not do anything dumb that night. And it was February and I'm living in a disaster zone. So it's not like the normal thing. And so I sat there and I had this great understanding, because I never could understand how a parent could get loaded with their kids, man. Because for me, it was such a profound thing in my sobriety to have a child at 45 years of life. And it's such a powerful experience for me. And I couldn't really grasp how a parent could get loaded. And then I had the moment, and it was a great learning experience for me, because I understood how gnarly drugs and alcohol are, how much they corrupt your mind. But see, the point is that's why in the beginning you have to practice sobriety, dude. You have to like you don't have to do anything, I guess. But the way I look at it is sobriety in the beginning is like saving up your pennies. You save up your sober pennies, because one day you're going to need to go to your sober savings account and pull out all the pennies you saved up. So at that point, I'd saved up. I didn't need my sober pennies for when the community burned down. I didn't need the sober pennies for like when my whole. I got one more story on the fire thing, was kind of a good one, but I didn't need any of my sober savings account for that part. I got through that part fine. I turned my will, my life over to the care of God as I understood him, and everything worked out. That night, sitting there looking at my kid, realizing that he wasn't, that my love for him wasn't stronger than my obsessed mind and I cashed in 8 years of my sober pennies to keep me sober that night, dude. Everything I knew, I was just like, "Dude, we just don't drink or use no matter what tonight, dude. Doesn't matter. You're not doing anything, dude. You're just gonna stay here and talk to God and look at your son eating his macaroni and cheese, and you're gonna go tuck that little dude into bed, and you're gonna sit and you're gonna pray, and you're gonna get through this night, dude. You're gonna get through this night." And I did. I did. I cashed in my 8 years of sober pennies to get through that night. And I woke up the next day, I had no desire to get loaded. And I can't say for sure if I really wanted to get loaded that night. I think I just wanted to wanna get loaded. It's like a weird thing. Sometimes it's a target you understand. And so I kinda got through that night, and then, I spent the rest of my time truly working on myself. Like, I can tell you the gift of as mad as I was at my wife, I didn't take it out on her because I was sober guy. I was like the person that has to do you have to do the work on is you. It's not you to get her to do the work. I had to work on myself. I had to do the work on myself. So I spent the next, that period after the fire for like 6 or 7 months working on myself, man. Figuring out why it all fell apart. Figuring out why I was responsible for my half of the situation, right? It wasn't her fault entirely. It was both of ours faults. Why I had allowed this thing, and in the process, I truly worked on myself. And I had a friend of mine who had the same similar predicament going on, very much so, who didn't do the work on himself, and his life blew apart, dude. He lost it all. Lost the wife, lost the kid, lost the whole thing, dude. And and the difference was my job at that point was to be of service to my son. My job was to be of service, right? My job was to be a dad to my child and to make it about him, not about me feeling better, needing to date a girl or any of that kind of stuff. My job was to be of service to my son, which meant that I had to go do the work on myself, dude. I had to figure out what it was that my responsibility for my half of the story. And in that process, I truly learned forgiveness. I say is like that whole fire burning down is listen, I learned some very valuable lessons. One, I learned that God truly can move mountains, literally, to take care of you if you ask him to do it. And if your intention is pure, God's right there for you. And the other thing I learned was that if your primary purpose is to be of service, it'll keep you focused. It'll keep you over the target. And the real thing I learned was forgiveness, man. The true the true concept of forgiveness as put forth by most of the spiritual traditions, right? And what I can tell you is I learned that forgiveness has to start with taking responsibility for yourself, dude. See, it's easy to point the fingers and blame everybody else. But again, in the fourth step, right, having done a fearless and searching moral inventory of myself, and then five told it confessed to another human being and God exact the nature of my wrongs, right? Step five is the secret to being able to offer true forgiveness is to own your half of it and be like, yeah, I have to forgive myself for even putting myself in a predicament where I need to forgive you. And the forgiveness came really easy, but it was a very deep and profound understanding of that forgiveness is no strings attached. Forgiveness is truly giving it all back to God as God forgave me, right? As if God can forgive me enough to allow me to be sober and be responsible for another human being and build this little world I've built for myself. God forgave me enough after all my failures and irresponsibilities and all that stuff to get me sober, and I accepted the responsibility, and then I got to learn what forgiveness was. It was a profound thing. So when I look, that's a great question you're asking, because it is the true like of thanks of giving is without the fire burning down my life and showing me what it was to be a husband, a father, a community member, a man of God, a sober human being, and truly testing me like trial by fire. Like I literally went through the trial by fire, man. And I truly turned my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. I truly was able to build, like again, a little side note on here is, most people enter marriage on marriage, the concept is for better and worse, right? Well, most people just stick around for the better part. The true concept of marriage is the worst. Like that's what it's really about. Like that's what marriage is about. It's not the good stuff, it's about the bad stuff and sticking it out with your person and getting through the bad stuff, because at the end of the day, and this is what we learn in sobriety is I'm not a victim, dude. I'm a participant. So just as I learned in the fourth step, and as I made clear as I divulged in the fifth step, most things that have tarnished my life, I'm responsible for. And that was where I got to learn truly what the marriage vow was, right? Was for better or worse, man. And so I can say that like the fire at the end really was a blessing in disguise. If it hadn't been for the fire, I truly wouldn't have had the opportunity to maintain my sobriety through the most trying situation. I truly would not have been able to turn my will, my life over to care of God as I would want to, right? And I don't think many people have an opportunity to truly just go put your life in God's hands. Like, all right, God, like I don't have any clue what to do now, and just give yourself to God and watch God. Like, listen, like the journey I took to like you have to understand, like I didn't put any conditions on this. God has returned my whole life back to me like hundredfold, thousandfold with where I'm at now. Like, and that was the thing I think the fire taught me. One of the great gifts of sobriety is I got sober with nothing, dude. I had a shitty car, a crappy surfboard, and a crappy skateboard, and a really crappy attitude. And in learning to be sobriety, I got everything back. And then God and sobriety were like, all right, dude, are you ready to lose it all? Are you ready to lose it all, dude, in your sobriety? You don't know you're ready to lose it all again, but like, yeah, at at 50, at 52 years of life. Was that 4 years ago? No, 6 years ago. 50 years of life. That's sober. No, I out at 45. Got sober at 40. So at 48 years of life, I had to start over again, dude, from scratch. But I didn't have to start it because I got sober with nothing. But when I started over after the fire, I had a child. I had a fully functioning vehicle. I had 2 nice surfboards because, of course, I took my surfboards when I evacuated. Let's not be crazy, people. Like I did take the surfboards. I am a surfer, dude. We take the wife, the child, the surfboards. We leave everything else behind. And and, uh, and then I had to give it all back, dude. And then here we are, the next phase of it all, and I will tell you that it is all a gift. This is all a gift, man, and that's what listen, when I got sober at 40 years of life, I can tell you, dude, before I got sober, I thought my life was over, dude, like and I don't mean, like, over, like I thought I'd missed life. I can't explain it. I thought I'd missed it all. I remember sitting up on the top of the mountain where I used to at the Voodoo Bowl up there and sit there and be like, I missed it, dude. I missed the family. I missed the kids. I missed it all at 40 years old. All my friends had kids going to college and careers and wives and the whole thing. I thought I had missed life. Little did I know, all I had to do was get sober and my life was about to begin at 40 years of life. Like I can truly kind of marvel at it is as it was like an age preservation thing. Like at 56 years of life, I'm more fired up and more energetic and more gung ho than I was at 36 years of life, you know? And it's because I've been through the desert of, so to speak, on the horse with no name, dude. Yeah, like the fire was the gift. And I think I was highly aware of it at the time, not consciously. I think subconsciously I knew that everything I needed to give everything back. I needed to see if I could give everything back in life and not get loaded. You know what I mean? Not get loaded. And I didn't, dude. And I can tell you, dude, I remembered the fire period. I remember people with lots of sobriety using it as an excuse to get loaded, dude. I remember people that I knew that like, I lost everything. I'm gonna drink. I don't understand it. I don't understand that concept of it all. Like I said, I do have an empathy that none of this stuff is powerful enough to keep us from drinking. But I can't, on another level, none of this stuff is powerful enough to make me drink either, if that makes any sense. Like I don't like, am I sober every minute of my day? Absolutely not. I'm batshit crazy, dude. I lose contact with God constantly. I've got a bad attitude lots of times. I'm grumpy, I'm cranky. I can be a total dick. But none of it in there do I think about like I'm going to need to drink or I need to get stoned or I need to take some pills or I need to like smoke some coke or any of that. Like that doesn't enter my mind. What enters my mind when I'm being a bad human being is how do I get back to God? How do I get back to God? And that's what I mean is like when you get to a certain part of sobriety, you realize that the miracle has occurred. And the miracle wasn't anything else except you got another chance at it. You got one more shot at life that you never thought you had because when you were loaded, you didn't think you had another. That's why you were loaded, dude. And then you get sober and you get down down the sober timeline far enough and you're like, whoa, bro, like the miracle occurred. Like I'm sober, dude. And my life is happening again. And I like see it differently. And I can tell you this is I truly have no idea what life's supposed to look like. To this day, it's a constant mystery of like what's going to happen next. Some days it seems like it's all going to disappear again. Other days it's bountiful. Dude, you should have seen us trying to get pumpkin pies at the Costco today. It was all-time hilarity, dude. We had so much fun, even though the line was like 1,000 people long, dude. But we turned it into a sober game, dude. And and because my wife's sober and we're sober and we're blessed to have this life. But what I'm getting at is the only thing I know for sure is what I don't want my life to look like. That's all I do know. And anytime it gets to what I don't want it to look like, that's when I course correct back to God. Just go back to God. What am I doing here, dude? Look at the mountains. Like be of service, be of service, be of service, be of service. Listen, it's why I sit here on a Wednesday. I had no idea what to talk about 45 minutes ago, dude. I don't know. I just like being of service. Turn on the thing. Hopefully someone out there, this helps them stay sober, want to get sober, or think about getting sober. I don't know, dude. It's 2025 and it's a shit show out there. And the only thing that I can truly grasp is I'm not part of that shit show because I'm sober. I can go participate in it anytime I want. I have my moments where I totally like interact with it and I'm a total punk about it. But I know the good news, dude. I like to do a little Christianity here. I am occupying the land. I am a success story to my own failures, dude. And I am truly grateful that I have been able to weather a number of times. Like the first burning down in my life was the need to get sober. And then in sobriety to have weathered the burning down of my life again and to do it with grace and dignity this time without needing to get sober. What a truly blessed thing that sobriety gave me. Sobriety gave me the ability to navigate that obstacle with grace and dignity, dude. I didn't need to drink. I didn't need to get loaded. If this year, like this last April or May, is it April? May. This last May, I got to sit by my dad's side sober as he died in his bed, dude. Took his last breath with my son, with my wife, with my mom. And to experience it was a beautiful, sober experience, dude. And I don't know if you could have told me that on the bill of goods when I was getting sober. It's like, yeah, dude, you're gonna have all this, and then when your dad takes his last breath, you're gonna be sitting there stone cold sober, and you're gonna be totally okay with it. It's going to be a fantastic moment. And a beautiful experience. So yeah, no, I'm truly grateful to be sober, dude. I have no idea what tomorrow brings, but what I've learned is so being sober allows me to let God run the show, dude, because there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. And I'm sober, so I can find that in the now. I don't have to get sober to find it. You get what I'm saying? It's like, as long as I stay sober, I'm experiencing the ongoing miracle. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here at 7:30, dude. And thanks for hanging out with me on Sober Wednesday. Remember, if you're lonely, you can, and you want to get sober, you're feeling a little dark, please don't self-delete. It's not worth it, dude. It's just it's going to it can get better for you. And reach out. 988 is the text code, which I'm sure kicks you the phone number, which gets you to an operator who will help you not self-delete on this holiday weekend, because even though you're estranged from your family, you can gain it back, dude. That's what sobriety's about, dude. And if you want to get sober, the Thanksgiving is a wonderful time. There's marathon meetings going on. You could probably type in your town anywhere, spaceship Earth, and you're probably going to get a list of AA meetings or a central office. You just call that central office, tell them you want to get sober. They'll probably guide you to a meeting, or someone will come pick you up, and just, you just go get a cup of coffee and sit down and take a load off, dude. And you can show up loaded. It's fine, dude. There's only one rule in the sober game, and that's a desire to get sober, dude. That's it. Everything else it's a free for all, man. So make those calls, pick up the phone calls, use the name tags, and honor yourself by just sticking around one more day, okay? And with that said, be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Call a friend. Stay home, whatever it is. Just stay off the roads, everybody. And God has blessed us. I'm super grateful to be here with y'all. Thank you, and good night.